Thank you very much for waiting. We would like to start the artist talk for this exhibition, Prism of the Real Making Art in Japan 1989-2010. My name is Yun Jihye, and I am the curator at National Art Center, Tokyo. And I will be your MC today. Before we start the talk session, we would like to invite our Director General, Eriko Osaka, to say a few words of openings. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so pleased to be able to see so many of you gathered here in this place on a Saturday afternoon. We will be doing a symposium based on the exhibition that is co-curated by National Art Center Tokyo and M+. It is entitled Prism of the Real, Making Art in Japan 1989 to 2010. This symposium is the artist talk in commemoration of the opening of this exhibition. And this talk will start in line with the construction of the exhibition. So we will start with the introduction, a critical turn, presented by Morimura Yasumasa. Sorry, I completely lost it right now. And we will invite Kazama Sachiko for the chapter on the past is phantom. And we have self and others for the curatorial lens too, Fiona Tan. And she will be joining after the break. And the third curatorial lens is A Promise of Community by Ozawa Tsuyoshi and Xijing Men. Mr. Ozawa will join us but remotely. And the navigators of both of these, all of these sessions will be coordinating curator, who is also the head of the curatorial division of NACT, Kamiya Yukie, and Yun Jihye, who is the MC. We will focus on the artists, and this is a great opportunity to hear the live voices of the artists who have created all of these works during this age where there were a lot of turmoil and many changes. And many of you, this is starting in 1989, so we're not even born, so maybe you have not seen them at that period. So this is 2 decades, it's a very long period. But I hope that you will be able to fully enjoy the talks by the artists. And here's the catalog of the exhibition in front of me. It is available at the museum shops on the first floor and basement level. It's called Souvenir from Tokyo. Because it's hard to find where it is located, we get a lot of questions about where the catalogs are sold. So it is available at the souvenir shops. And the artist talk is 3 hours long, quite long, but I hope that you will be able to stand until the end and really enjoy the talks by the artists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Osaka, for your words. And next, I'd like to invite Ms. Yukie Kamiya, Head of Curatorial Division, Chief Curator of the National Art Center Tokyo. She will be offering you the overview of this exhibition. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name is Kamiya. I'm Head of Curatorial Division, Chief Curator of the National Art Center Tokyo. To commemorate the opening of the exhibition Prism of the Real Art Making in Japan 1989 to 2010, we are holding an artist talk featuring 3 artists and 1 artist group as our first public program for this exhibition. And so this year marks the 100th year of Showa era and the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, a significant milestone in the post-war era. This exhibition shed light on the trend in art over the 20-year period beginning in 1989. The year 1989 stands out as a pivotal moment, not only marking the end of Japan's Showa era, which witnessed world wars, and the beginning of the Heisei era, but also signifies the end of the Cold War system with the fall of the Berlin Wall. Globally, this period saw the old order begin to crumble, ushering to the era of human exchange and the free flow of information and goods, the dawn of the global age. and ends the global era we celebrated may well have ended with the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 as its turning point, ushering into the new age of division and conservatism. But this exhibition focuses on art making in Japan that emerges over this 20 years. We deliberately choose not to title its Japanese contemporary art as an intentional question. Since the 1980s, many artists have come to Japan, which has achieved political and economic stability, creating a wide variety of works, seeing Japan as a platform for inspiration. Regardless of the distinctions made by the country or nationality, Japan or Japanese, what works emerged from the place and platform known as Japan, and what impact did the culture born in Japan have on the world? This exhibition explores this question not solely from the perspective of the National Art Center Tokyo's curators, but through collaboration with the curator from M+, Hong Kong's Museum of Contemporary Art. For museum promoting contemporary art in the Asian region, Japanese art and art history are also important contents. And so through collaborative work with a partner from different lands, languages, and cultures, we seek to discover polyphonic artist expressions, not a single dynamic 20 years history, but multiple perspectives, which you can enjoy to see on the first floor of this building. And so this exhibition is not structured chronologically, but through chapters titled Curatorial Lenses, as Ms. Osaka mentioned. And so today we have invited one artist per chapter to represent each section. We would like to hear from these artists as creators about their perspective on the era, their own creative process, and their works in society. So to represent the introduction, the critical turn, where you can see the impact of the pivotal year 1989 through the works of artists. Here, this place, we have invited Mr. Yasumasa Morimura. And so he, in spite of a very schedule, traveled from Osaka to join this session. And next, and so to represent the past is a phantom. We'll have Ms. Sachiko Kazama. Thank you very much for your attendance. And after the break, we will have Mr. Fiona Tan to represent self and others lands. She again all the way from Amsterdam. And from the final chapter, a promise of community. And so, well, together with the community as a collaborative. This is a new way emerged during the 1990s. And so we welcome two artists from Xijing and Mr. Ozawa Tsuyoshi joining us online from Nanjing, and Mr. Gimhongsok joining us in person from Korea at this venue. First, we invite artists to share their own perspectives, including images on the circumstances when they began their careers, the exhibition they participated in, and their creative process and works. And following that, myself, Kamiya, and Jihye, and Curator, who co-created this exhibition with me, will serve as a navigator to facilitate the discussion by posing questions and guiding the conversations. This will be a valuable and enjoyable opportunities to examine the era and the artist's expression from various perspectives, including the background of the creation as well as what the artist experienced and practiced during that time. And we are practicing new approach to museum that collects experience and encounters rather than objects as a vital resources and archives. So we plan to capture this experience where the artist speaks and we listen on videos and share it with a wider audience. So please experience the words of the artist and share here at our flagship place exhibition. Thank you very much. Thank you.
それでは
So we would now go into the introduction, a critical turn. We have asked Mr. Morimura Yasumasa to do the talk for this session. So he will do the presentation first, and then Kamiya, our curator, will be navigating the talk. So let Kamiya introduce Mr. Morimura. So Mr. Morimura, please come to the stage. And please take your seat. Let me quickly introduce him. So he's born in Osaka, graduated from Kyoto City University of Arts in Faculty of Fine Arts. And August 10th of this year, I'm sorry, for just the month of August this year, he did a serialized essay called My Resume about half of his life, which was published in Nikkei newspapers. I'm sure many of you recall that, reading that. In 1985, he released his self-portrait photography series, Portraits, starting with Van Gogh portrait. And since then, he has consistently produced work themed on self-portrait. He was selected for the Apparato division of Venice Biennale in 1988. And since then, he has had numerous exhibitions, both domestically and internationally, Yokohama Museum of Art, Museum Contemporary Art Tokyo, Tokyo Photographic Art Museum, the National Museum of Art and Artisan Museum, and in 2014 at Yokohama Triennale, he served as an artistic director, so he curated as well. And in 2018, he opened Morimura Art Museum in Kitaku, Osaka. So he himself opened his own museum. So he came from the opening yesterday, the exhibition there. So I would like to invite Morimura Yasumasa around 1989, the backdrop and the times, the scenes since then. Thank you very much for introduction. My name is Morimura. Very nice to be here. So in this exhibition, I am exhibiting my works in two sections. One is it's a work called Portrait Futago, which I produced in 1989. And the other is, hold on a minute, 1992, I believe. And there's a sculpture work, which I am exhibiting as well. In 1998, that work was presented, and since then, this was my favorite work, but it was basically dormant in my warehouse. And it was completely forgotten by the world. But they have paid an attention to this artwork, and I, as an artist, am very honored and happy about this. I hope that you will get to look at that as well and take note of that. Let me think. What year was that? In 1989. I did a work called Portrait Futago, but 4 years prior to that, in 1985, I produced a work called Portrait Van Gogh. For me, this is about my identity. Who am I? And I took a photograph of myself. So this is the starting point of my self-portrait series. So when people explain or talk about me, an artist called Morimura started in the 1980s. So I tend to get positioned as an artist from 1980s, which is true. But that doesn't mean that I was necessarily in sync with the waves of that time. In fact, I don't think I felt I was not in sync. I felt out of the place even during that time. I was very uncomfortable where I was during that time. And then it wasn't just limited to 1980s, same thing in 1990s, 2000, and even before 1980s. I felt as though there's always been a discrepancy between myself and the time in which I was living at that time. So even though I did this work in 1980s, it doesn't really reflect the spirit of that time. For me, it's a presentation of the discrepancy, the contradiction between myself and the age. And I think it's my motivation of creating my works. So the reason why I have chosen this theme, Van Gogh, in 1985 is also because of that. Because Van Gogh lived about 100 years before my work, 1985, in the 19th century. And he lived in the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and he painted. And he was painting, but Van Gogh was not able to simulate himself with the environment around him. And he also felt that he was a bit different from that time. And at one point, this discrepancy made him break down. And he cut off his ear. And for me, I could actually relate to Van Gogh because he was already feeling discrepancy with the age. So it wasn't so much the age that I was really trying to express, but I was trying to express my affinity and my relations with Van Gogh. And in 1989, 4 years later, I produced this work called Portrait Futago. And at that time, I think I felt the same way. Without having to explain, I'm sure you recognize this painting as an Edward Manet's work in 1863 called Olympia. It's based on that. And in 1863, at that time, when you consider the age, that time period, the sense of aesthetics at that time, and also at that time, from the world that was focused on very delicate and sophisticated artwork. This work by Edward Manet was very controversial. It was not considered to be in good taste, and it was very scandalous. So I was thinking, what would happen if I did this in 1989? So I was thinking about that as I produced this work. So this is how I continue to do my creative works. But this may sound strange, but I was not doing a lot of flashy works. I came from Osaka today, and even at that time in 1989, I was living in Osaka, and I was doing my creative works in Osaka. And, you know, I would rent a space, pay for myself, and I would present my work, and my friends and people that are acquaintances would just come and visit. So for me, this was a production of artworks that was not so flashy. But there was one incident that really changed this in a very dramatic way. And this is 1 year before 1989, so that was 1988. I was selected in Aperto section of the Venice Biennale, 43rd Venice Biennale. And I was, as I recall at that time, I'm thinking I was almost completely unknown artist at that time. I was based in Osaka. Why would I be selected? Why would I be requested to present at the Biennale? I keep thinking about that. Seems as though there was a very large change of the times. I think it was in the mid 1980s. I think things like this was happening already at that time. So up until then, I don't probably need to say it today, but if I look back, the art scene and the history of art were very Western centric. So it was very much United States and Europe centered. There's no doubt about that. But from about mid 80s, the world is interesting because we live in a planet called the Earth, and there's so many diverse types of people living on this Earth, and there were so many diverse expressions from the lives of the people living in different parts of the globe. And these are all common sense today, but it was in the 1980s, maybe in the mid 1980s, that people began to shed light on that, to turn their eyes on that. So this is not about, something I read in a book, but that's the feeling that I got. So for example, you're living in Japan, and from Japan, overseas would mean the West, so the Europe and United States, and we would see researchers and curators from the West who would come to Japan to do a research about Japanese art. And there were some exceptions, but mainly, majority of them would come to Tokyo and do a research in Tokyo. And they would stop at that. But in 1988, when I was chosen to be participating in Venice Biennale, researchers and curators were visiting different parts of Japan because Japan isn't just about Tokyo. There are different people working and expressing in different parts of Japan. And I think the overseas researchers began to realize that and turn their eyes to that. And they found me in Osaka, who was doing a very low profile work in Osaka. But they decided that they wanted to choose me and selected me to the Venice Biennale. So that was 1988. And then in the following year, there was an exhibition called Against Nature. This is an exhibition introducing the Japanese contemporary art in the United States. It's an exhibition that toured around the United States, and it started around 1988. And this exhibition really expanded the changes in the art scene in Japan. And I exhibited portrait Futago in Against Nature exhibition as well. So I was thinking back on my past, but at that time, I was just basically focused on doing my own creative work. So I never thought about this, but after decades, looking back, I can now tell that was that age, that was what happening. So that is all from me. Thank you.
So for now, I would like to join, and as a navigator, I would like to ask question or listen to what you have to say. So this is the Against Nature exhibition from 1989. It started the traveling exhibitions. To you, this was the very first opportunity for you to present your art. Yes, yes, that was the very first time to showcase my work in U.S. So after participating in the exhibition, so not well-known artists from Japan are having this exhibition. So as an artist, what was the response or difficulties or the impact that you felt after participating in this exhibition? Well, probably, I'm guessing, but well, on Earth, there are many things happening in terms of the expression or activity to express. So there are many ways to express. And of course, there's a certain impact coming from the Western art. And so Western art history or the Western culture receiving impact from such art, history, or culture is not conceivable. So if you paint using the canvas, like oil painting, whatever you paint, that is a part of the Western culture, mean that you were impacted by the Western culture. However, even so, well, in the context of conventional Western culture or art history, something that you haven't encountered or something not been told, perspective, image, or feelings. There are so many things, and that being understood. And so, against nature is one of the occasion that I felt that way. So in U.S., something that I haven't encountered, art pieces that I have encountered, and also the Venetia Biennale, 5 Japanese artists were invited. I was one of them, and 4 out of 4 artists lived in Japan. One actually lived in Germany. So the work of 5 Japanese artists, although they are all Japanese, but they're all different. And against the nature exhibition, and there were some selected, but of course, each works differ from each other. So in the context of Western art history, well, there's no absolute overlaps. There are many aspects which are totally different from that. So that was the feeling felt by audience when they see my work. Yes. So 1989, when we showcase your portrait Futago, and so subtitle was the separation and inheritance. And so what's being aimed at by the Japanese artist, that is a methodology used in the Western art world. So group of artists, the newly emerging artists are separated from that traditional approach. And so new group of artists are emitting those mysterious power. Kathy Fulbright and Thomas, two U.S. curators with the support of the Japan Foundation, they were invited. And as you said, not just Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, they went all these places and then encounter with the new artists. So new experiment done by artists and receiver size openness to discover something new and evaluating positively in such a way. There was a platform and foundation allow that to happen. That was the interesting spark, and that was very refreshing. And that's what I have felt on the first day of the exhibition. And so, well, there are many strong pieces being displayed, a surprisingly large number. But they were so strong that will defeat the feelings that we felt in that room. Yes. How should I say? In the past, well, Western art history, we have to be within the context of that. So our aesthetic sense or the sense of beauty has to be within that framework. Fujita Tsuguharu, for instance, go to the center of the art history, like go to Paris and live there. And within those world of art in Paris, discover our own identity. So very much committed to doing so. That age continued even after the end of the World War II. And some went to New York and tried out many different things, but did their best, very much committed. So from their point of view, we, myself, could be seen as the disappointment, but me, at least, I thought that kind of world is far from what I believe is valuable because I lived in Osaka. So this is inconceivable now, but I was living in Osaka back then and producing art works, honestly speaking. What will happen if I continue doing this? That was a feeling I had. And so the context of Western art history, you do learn or study, but that is the word, a world away from you. So like Mr. Fujita, not going to Paris and staying in one place, like myself in Osaka. And unlike today, well, there's no internet accessible. So information only come from literature and art. And so Western artists, painters before the war is similar to that feelings. So a known world is something that you can learn from magazines or literatures. You absorb such information from such sources. But sometimes you mistakes. You have your own assumptions. And so the same goes with the modern Western artists. So you have your own interpretation and make something unique or interesting. You have that desire. If you pursue that, Well, something out of touch with the right context. Take liberty of making something new without noticing it. So something that people never have encountered in the world. I just so happen to produce such piece. Conversely speaking, well, something that you cannot do if you know too much. You know about it a little, but you don't know so much. That kind of environment, well, give rise to a mysterious start. Mysterious or, well, unique, I might proud to say. Well, my starting point was very unique, which are now well known. Case by Morimura.
いるから
There are different types of artists, so I'm sure it's different from case by case. So you were talking about five virtues and the uniqueness. So, Mr. Morimura, your studio and your house is in Osaka, Tsuruhashi. You really have always been based there, never really relocated anywhere else, and you're, showcasing your works around the world. So Fujita, like you had said, moved from Paris, New York, but you did not do that. You continue to be based from your home, which is Osaka, but you're still looking at the world, and you're consistent, and yet you're creating a lot of new works. So for you, what is localism? What is that? How does that frame you? Well, it doesn't really frame me, but basically, I don't like going outside. That's all. I like to stay home. Here I'm talking in front of you, but I'm doing self-portrait. So people think that I like being on the stage. But since I was a child, and people say you must have liked to sing in front of people since you were a child, but no, not all. I don't like standing on the stage. This morning, even in the bullet train, I was thinking about what should I say today on the stage, and I was practicing all this morning. And this is even after the practice, this is how I'm talking still. So this is a challenge for me. So if possible, I want people to leave me alone. I'm sorry. I'm really enjoying being here, and I'm not in trouble or anything, but that's my personality. That's my nature. So how should I say this? This is a fascination of mine, but what I like reading books. I like to obtain a lot of different information. So I absorb all of this information. I gather them in me, and I use that to create my own story. So this is my fascination, my fantasy, and my imagination. And I just think it must be fun, interesting. And I try to translate that into my creative work. So that's what I'm doing, really. And of course, there's like godoku in there. So I think, there are two types of people. Someone like Fujita, who's very aggressive, who's very outgoing, who is good at appealing him or herself. So, for example, when I do an exhibition in New York, people tell me that I need to do an appeal more, that I need to speak about my works and be more outgoing. They suggest that I do that. But for me, it's kind of like, well, just look at my work. And how do you think about my work? So for me, it's important that the person who views my work gets absorbed in it. For me, that's really important. Now, of course, people who are not interested wouldn't show any interest, but so I'm very shy. I'm introverted. I don't like going outside. But I think this leads to my creative work. That's my personality. So I'm type 2. There's 2 types. So I'm type 2. Here we can have a dialogue like this, but you know, there are artists who will not even step out at all, who will not be speaking in front of people, but they would create a beautiful, wonderful, amazing artwork. And then there are people who are able to be very outward, extroverted. So there are different types. And so I would discern that and I think about which type am I. And then I think it's important that I do my own work that fits my personality. So, Mr. Morimura, you always say rather than prepare, and you're always very good at preparing, and you do a lot of preparation for your performance and for your talk, but you never call it preparation, you call it practice. So you are always doing your works and you do your presentations with such a thorough preparation. And when I went to New York, you were doing an exhibition and you did a new work on Futago. So that's the photograph to the left. Can you explain about the background? And I think it was like 30 years later, you had retaken the photograph. You're naked here, but you had to retake the picture after 30 years. So, and even on the right-hand side, this is a new version of the Van Gogh. So it seems as though you all have a new perspective, and you always ask a new question with your old works. Yes, I guess I do so without really being aware of it. This is an old way of phrasing it, but I want to place important, I treasure network or connection. I'm quite persistent. So I did my Van Gogh work in 1985, and this is a self portrait. So when you say self portrait, this is true with Van Gogh as well, but they're looking at you. So when I look at my work, I have an eye contact. So it's a painting, but it's like a mirror. I can see myself in it, and I get this really strange feeling of me becoming a Van Gogh. So it's not about other people. I feel very much more personal about it. How should I say this? Let's see. It feels as though it's about myself. I there's a strong connection between myself and the painting. So it could be Marcel Duchamp, could be Van Gogh. But I'm in consistent dialogue with Van Gogh, for example, who are you, Van Gogh? I continue to ask this question. So this is same thing with other human beings. So you have an encounter and you get to know them after 10 years, you realize that there's another aspect of that person that you didn't really know before. So it's a new discovery sometimes. So for example, when I did the Van Gogh work initially, I thought Van Gogh is very colorful, bright colors. That's a man of flame, and that was real to me. And that's how I used to do my creative work of the self-portrait Van Gogh. But then I began to realize that he is a very delicate person. But even if it's a flame, it's not fire flame. It's a blue flame, like a flame of ice. So my previous work is good, but after a couple decades, I wanted to have this new conversation with Van Gogh. So I have this long relationship with Van Gogh. I think it was in 1990, 91, and maybe it was 2000. I went to Las Vegas. So creative activity isn't just one-off event. It lasts for decades. It's not 1 or 2 year thing. It's number of decades, and it spans over years. And I think that's the history of art, and I feel like that's in me. So it's a renewal process. I guess I do this without really being conscientious about it. And there's one last question. The most recent work exhibition, you talked about connection, and you tend to get compared to, or you are always exhibited in parallel with Cindy Sharman. Maybe people consider Cindy Sharman as your sister, younger sister. Now you're doing a two-person exhibition at M Plus with Cindy Sherman. So what kind of experience was that for you at this duo exhibition? So this was at M Plus, and I thought this was a very clever exhibition by M Plus. As I look back, that's what I think. Probably, and maybe I might be in trouble if I said this. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not. I don't know if someone from M Plus is here, but this is a duo exhibition, but the main is me. I'm really sorry I have to say this, but I'm probably the main. This is related maybe to this exhibition as well. So I'm Japanese, I'm an artist from Asia. And my works are based on Western art history and culture. So I'm an Asian artist influenced by the Western art history and culture. But how do I create my own unique work? So this is one sample of an Asian artist. I think that's what they wanted to present in this exhibition because it relates to the identity of M+, which is located in a place called Hong Kong. Now, Cindy Sherman is an American artist. So here's an American artist And she does self-portraits as well. So Yasumasa Morimura is very similar to her in that sense. So I am basically in the context of the West, line with the Western context, but we're different because they wanted to make a clear distinction between West and Asia. Maybe the reason why they have Cindy Sherman here. So because we're similar, of course, similarity means that I am for sure influenced by Western art and culture, but there's a different element in there. In my case, it would be case by Japan, but everyone is influenced by this context of Western art, but in Hong Kong and other parts of Asia. How did they develop their own style? So it's a precursory sample. I haven't asked Dorian directly, but so it's pioneering, I guess it's trailblazing in that sense. And maybe that is why it was quite significant for M Plus to have me in this exhibition in the duo. Now, Mr. Morimura, when they did the Picasso exhibition, so it wasn't Picasso, but it was Morimura Picasso that was on the cover of the Asian Museum's Picasso exhibitions. So how is Asia perceived through Morimura? So maybe between 1980s and 2025, maybe we're able to see this Asia perception through Morimura's works. Well, that'd be great if you can see it in that way. So you have a very long history of artworks, and thank you very much for introducing all of that. So please give Mr. Morimura a big round of applause. Thank you.
ありました。
So next, and so let us move on to the next section. The past is a phantom. Mr. Kazama Sachiko will be the speaker. And so, please, Ms. Kazama, floor is yours. So next speaker is Ms. Sachiko Kazama. So allow me to introduce briefly from myself. And so Morimura-san is from western part of Japan, and Kazama Sachiko-san is from Tokyo, live in Tokyo, born in Tokyo. And so use only white and black and make woodblock prints throughout her career. So it's more of a manga type of essence in it. And also you see the sharp line using the sculpture chisel and a very meticulous expression being made. And so all the facts which are difficult to face in terms of the modern society issues and historical issues, and sometimes comically and sometimes meticulously, and reflect observers' perspectives. In 2023, and so there's her work was represented in the Mujinto production, Tokyo, Japan, and also 24th Biennale of Sydney, 10,000 Suns Art Gallery of New South Wales, Sydney, Australia. So I'd like to invite Mr. Kazama. Please have a seat. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Sachiko Kazama. So thank you very much for coming today. It's such a big audience. I'm a bit nervous. So because I'm nervous, I may lost for words. So I prepare the text. So allow me to read. I could be boring, but allow me to read. And so this prism of the real. and art making in Japan, 1989 to 2010. So specific year has been mentioned here. So the year 1989. So looking back that year, personally, I was still the second year into the evening high school. So why I went to evening high school is because I was weak physically and I did not like studying. So elementaries and junior high school, I only attended 1/3 of the days that I should be attending schools. So there were many weaknesses in me, and so for those who are weak, well, economically and family affairs, they go to evening high school. There was only choice. So I also went to evening high school. It consists of 4 years, and complete a course with 4 years, and I entered and Musashino Art School and woodblock printing course run by the University of Musashino. And for 5 years, I dedicated myself to learning a woodblock print. That art school was quite traditional in nature. So the teachers or professors teaching contemporary art or students studying contemporary art were very rare. And so it took me some time to realize there is a such thing as contemporary art. Well, the first time I encountered the world of art was in the second year or the third year into the art school. So my senior colleagues, whom I admire, love new painting. So I admire this person, so I took interest in new painting as well. I was late in coming into contact with the art, but I took interest in the art scene in the 1980s. So I went to the second-hand bookshop. And so there's an exhibition held in Germany in 1984 called Zeitgeist. And I picked up this book. And Kiefer and Baselitz, those German artists, came to my knowledge because of this book. And so it grew larger and larger. So my work became larger and larger. So the Kiefer and Baselitz influenced me, my work in such a way. I graduated from this art school, and after 1 year, in order to rent an art studio, I worked hard through a part-time job, and I earned enough money to do so. And so in 1998, I was able to have an exhibition at the Kyobashi. And so this is the called Commonwealth. So the theme I pursue under this exhibition is the idea that all Japanese are middle class, because after the burst of the global economy, so economic was here in Japan was downturn. So it was the end of century, and also the economy was also feeling that end. But still, the society was expecting the high economic growth Japan experienced in the past. So that was time when I presented this Commonwealth. And so the idea that all Japanese are middle class, that kind of myth, while owning a car, owning a house, under this concept, people were working very hard to achieve that. Those businessmen, everyday life was in my mind when I created this. As you can see, this is a photo of model houses. And so you get the flyers over the weekend if you subscribe to newspapers. There are many advertisements try to sell condos and house. So a bit of Western culture essence in it, but it's a Japanese detached house. Blue sky and shining pictures being displayed to attract buyers, but I turned that into black and white. So back then, this uncomfortable feeling that I have towards societies and many things, I highlighted those aspects and reflect that into my work. This Commonwealth was become a part of the M Plus collection. I'm proud of this. And while my art piece becoming larger, 4.2 meters and 1.8 meters, that is the dimensions. And so this is the whirlwind of the district made in 2005. Since this time, and rather than focusing on social issues, I started to focus on historical mystery. So let me take some time to talk about this. And well, the World Expo was scheduled to be held in 1996, but due to the downturn in economy, it was cancelled. So it's like a battleship Yamato coming into the port of Tokyo. And so there's Odaiba area, a lot of high rises sparkling and showing the high economic growth. But this battleship is wandering in the sea. So it's like a big gun and battleship doctrine, symbol of a massive public work project that once given the green light become nearly impossible to stop. That pathetic nature of a public works project were that was hidden in this work. So when you make this type of art piece, and so of course I make those artworks by feeling what's happening in the world in real time, but there's also something that I need to pay attention to in the historical manners if you continue to do so for over 20 years. So this is a Heidokukan raising battleship, the dead end, 4.2 meters and 1.8 meters, the same dimensions like previous work. And what's in the center is it's also the battleship. Well, the wave is obscuring this battleship, but the reason why I made this is the 2012, the year after the Great East Japan earthquake, right after the earthquake or the disaster. Because of the magnitude of the damage, it was so much stressed, and physically and psychologically, I was rigid and didn't know what to do. But year after the disaster, I managed to start making art piece. I can leave something by pursuing art, and I can leave a history or a record. With that realization, I restart my artistic activities year after the disaster, and Hiroshima, Nagasaki from the left, and Marshall Island. And so hydrogen bomb done by the U.S., and in the middle, Fukushima nuclear power plant explosion. And on the right-hand side is the Mutsu nuclear battleships, and so Mirai observer ship, and turning into futuristic ships, and then conducting the analysis of ocean. And so other Heidokukan raising battleship the dead end is the title. Heidokukan is at the Japan-Russo War. Imperial Navy had a failure in order to the mission. So the Port Arthur, well, they intentionally sunk the major ship and blocked the port, but it was a big failure, and so many ships sunk and killed many soldiers. But in order to obscure or the cover up, and so Lieutenant Colonel Hirose were respected, become a military guard to hide, conceal the failure of the mission. And also the safety myth that downplay the risk of nuclear power. I saw there's overlaps. That's why I made this. And so I never intended to make this as a set. But a few years later, and because big gun and ship doctrine and those public works cannot be stopped once it starts it, I started to feel big doubt about this doctrine once again. So the history doesn't go straight. There is a backlash and it goes back and forth like a waves. And so that's something that I felt and instilled into this work. A 4.2 meter, 1.2 meters large size art piece. There's something else I feel by making such pieces. So those on display this time is a Brink 60-floor building, beat up by Prism Sugamo. Sorry, but I don't know why I choose this as a title for this. And as Steam Whistle, Mantisman Manifest, those two are on display this time. These two is not like a Morimura. I've been living in Setagawaya, and I'm usually inside the house. I do not go out so much. I watch TV a lot, and I get inspiration from the by watching TV. 2007 was the year I made this, and it was the time of the first Abe administration. Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister, was pushing the idea of beautiful country Japan. He was vocal about this idea, and I wonder why he started to say beautiful country Japan all of a sudden. I was struggling to understand the intention. But now, Japan is not beautiful now, is what I thought. So what Prime Minister Abe thought as the beautiful country Japan, what is the vision behind that? Was what I wondered. And so Mr. Nobusuke Kishi, grandfather of Prime Minister Abe, he respected him so much. And so he saw Nobusuke Kishi as an ideal politician, I thought. So I wanted to know more about this person. So I looked into the history of his grandfather. I read a lot of books. So rather than he himself, Manchuria incidents or invasion of Manchuria and using that land or Pacific War, surrender, all these histories which I didn't pay much attention to become more vivid. History. I did not go to regular school, so I did not study history so well, but looking at the second-hand magazines or books or literatures, well, looking through all these books, you discover incidents and photos attached to that. It came as a very refreshing to me. Well, not just seeing something tragic history, but it is came as a feeling of seeing a drama, or in a way gives me this spectacle of feelings, and that translates into this art piece. So it is more like a special effects featured heroes. So Mantisman Manifest is high-speed rail Manshu, a Manchuria railway company, is featured. In 1931, when Manchuria incident happened, this was not in existence, but as an icon of a Manjitsu, it is depicted here. It is not a Manchuria railway. So a steam vessel. Well, this is a Shimbashi, the origin of a JR. And so Sugamo Prison. And so those were criminals went through the Tokyo trial. They went to Sugamo Prison. It is located in Ikebukuro. It's now turned into the Sunshine 60 building. And similar to Allah, Heidokan raging battleship, The Dead End. I wasn't planning on making serials, but it just so happened that I'm going to make a series out of this. 5 years after, from the 2007, I made this 2011. And so Mark 1 in Dawn and Dawn Prism New Coefficient 235. And so on the same year, I have presented this with Allah Heidokukan. Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant gave me the reason to make this. And before the earthquake, I did have interest in nuclear power plants. Whenever you go to outside of Japan, outside of Tokyo, I look for the PR center for a nuclear power plant, and I love to feel that the dubious atmosphere of such information center. So there was so much information available, so I was able to look into it easily. So Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, there was a history of exploitation. And as to the Mark 1 in Dawn, Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant site used to be our training airfield for kamikaze pilots, turned into salt field, and become a place for nuclear power plant. So there's a sad history to it. And so by digging out the history or trying to construct something, there is some balance between it. And so Mark 1 is the containment vessel, the old version, the model, sold from GE to Japan. And because of the defect of this containment vessel leads to the hydrogen explosion because of the buildup of the gas. So this is the Dawn Prism Nuke Nuisance 235. And you see those Internal Affairs Ministry and Kasumigaseki building there. And so there is a radionuclide in the middle. And so bureaucrats and politicians are playing the role of electrons going around, which supported the peaceful utilization of nuclear power. So knowing history gave me the inspiration and some impact to create pieces like this. And so Dawn Prison New Coefficient 235. And the background is the Bikini Atoll hydrogen explosion. And Daigo Fukuryama was exposed to explosion, radioactive explosions. We call it that Daigo Fukuryama incident. But the day after that incident, and the budget, the first budget for the nuclear research and development was passed the Diet here in Japan. Public opinion, I assume, may form to go against the budget. So before that, a public opinion is formed, I think the politician steamrolled this. And so 235 million was the budget, amount of the budget. And it corresponds to uranium-235. So the larger the size, it is good. So it doesn't have to be specific. And so I assume that they use the uranium-235 as the yardstick to determine the budget. It's so ironic. This is a serious topic, but the politicians and bureaucrats are going towards this direction. It is quite a nonsense. That's why I was inspired by this and made this piece. So I just ramble alone, but I'm not a historian and I'm not a researcher either. So I only know what I have learned from the world. But inspired by those information I gathered, I made these works. But these art pieces are being useful. Putting that aside, serve as a source for my imagination for sure. It may sound irresponsible because it's art, because it combined with my delusion, because of my own filter put in place, I was able to make such piece. Particularly, my works are very unique or awkward and mysterious by nature. Many aspects go into it, but my hope is that because my works are unique, so future generation, 150 or 100 years from now, when they look back the history, I want them to wonder what these are. I want them to take interest in my work because they don't understand very well. They want to decipher. So the flag, my work could serve as the flag or coordinates in that sense. Well, my encounter with art was quite limited. Zeitgeist exhibition, those Techo and Kifa and Basilis that I came to know. Well, I did not speak German, so I wonder what Zeitgeist means. I wasn't thinking so much back then. So time or spirits or ghost, these were the keyword I believe when it comes to this exhibition. So zeitgeist is a major word, but geist it also means ghosts. So my work is not to do with the spirits, but more towards a ghost, time, space. Regardless of such, it appears all of a sudden and scary monster like. I want my art piece to be like that. Not myself, but my artworks to be like that. So with this, I'd like to end my speech. Thank you.
Kazama-san, thank you. You don't just look at the artwork, but yeah, it was quite interesting to learn about the background, your interest, and your researches. Now, you live in Setagaya, a city of Sazai-san. Sazai-san is a Japanese television anime. But basically, it's a very ordinary middle class family. Sort of, that's the kind of a place where you live in, and you have created your world. And according to Mr. Morimura, you're also type 2, so you'd like to be home. So I'd like to know more about your methodologies and researches. So the word research, because my work has so much information, people think that there's a lot of amount of research behind this, but it's not anything such grandiose as research. But I have to admit that I'm a smartphone addict. Previously, I used to like these variety programs. Whether I'm doing my artwork or whether I'm eating, I would just sit and watch variety programs on television. But now I don't even watch TV. I'm just looking at Yahoo News and other information on my smartphone. So when people use the word research, it feels too novel for me. But I'm like a wild beast, and I have that spirit. So, for example, when I go to the PR center of the nuclear power plants, of course, I know I'm against nuclear power and it should be prohibited, but it's really a place of all negative information. And I know it's all filled with lies, but I want to go and place myself in that kind of a space setting. Just so there's not really much of a methodology to it, but it's just out of my curiosity. So I'm just a curious crowd. But really, I mean, you really sense the era, the time. You're using television as a tool at one point, and then now everyone's talking about fake news. So you're using smartphones, and you really feel that. And also, since I was a teenager, I loved old papers, like old books. My favorite is postcard, but I like old magazines. When I look through them, you can see, history that you want to hide away or throw it away. For example, I see my old magazines about relationship between the Nazis and Japan. That those are considered to be good, and the propaganda of those days. And those are the things that they wouldn't want me to read today. But I have this strange feeling of wanting to do things that people don't want me to do. So you live in a Sazai-san like home, but you do a research and ideas and imaginations on the Russo-Japanese War and the tactics used then. And what's amazing to me is the way you produce your work. So this is 4 meters wide and tall, work. So this is using a wood block. This is like ukiyo-e. Why is it that you use woodcut print? You will replicate it, and you would want to print it, right? But for you, this is one unique work. You don't replicate it. It's a quite a unique methodology. Why did you adopt this? So I'm just a curious seeker. So I want to do something new every time. Wood cutting takes time, and it uses a lot of your energy and sensitivity. And if you put an addition to it, it becomes a product. So, for example, if it's an industrial product, you can see compared to edition 1 and edition 2, maybe edition 1 is a better print. I don't like that. And to me, if I print 10 or 20 pieces and I have to inspect all of them, then that's just too much for me. It's just too havesome. And I feel like I would be bound to it and I won't be able to come up with the new ideas. So that is why I decided I don't want to have any editions. I just have only one edition. So that's quite rational and very decisive. Kazama-san, you live in a house alone. And I hadn't seen you for a while. So when I saw you, and I saw your right arm, and you're quite muscular, so you do all of this woodcut printing on your own. Just yes, my muscular right hand only. So this is a Sazai-san's house with only Sazai-san living in there. I'm completely alone. And I work within this 4.5 mat tatami room, and there's another 6 mat room, but I don't really use that much. So it's not 4 meter by 4 meter. It's actually 90 centimeter by 60, and I break it down into 14, 20, or 28 pieces. So if you break it down into 24, because this is wood cut print, it's on the other side. So you have the completed picture in your mind when you actually do this. Yes. So I break it into 14 or 28 pieces, and I bring it to a photocopy store and have them basically printed it for me. So once I start the work, it's just something I do every day. So Kazama-san, you have just only done woodcut printing all these years, but now you are now ready to do a new media. Well, I have not really used this new media yet, but I was thinking about starting on oil painting. Maybe start doing that this year, and then maybe do it next year until I'm able to record an app. But I'm not very good at painting. For example, it's difficult. It takes me a lot of time to actually do the drawings for this web cut print. So I'm not able to use PC. So maybe the person in the front is big and the person in the back is small. So this is a perspective technique. I can't draw that. So I go to this convenience store nearby and I use the printer there, and I try to do 100% print, 120% and then 130% expansion. So I try to change it step by step. And sometimes I get really confused as I work on this because I repeat this process over and over. And finally, I'm able to come up with this the drawing that I want to draw. So this is the only way I can draw. So I wanted to do oil painting, but I'm not very confident about my drawing techniques. So I have purchased the oil painting set. I have it in my room, and I just stare at it every day. Even in that, you're always challenging on new ideas, new things, and you capture the ambience of that age. So you were able to share about all these different idea sources that we were not able to see ourselves. So tomorrow, or I'm sorry, when you go downstairs, please make sure you're able to actually look carefully at her work, see where she has dug in for the woodcut printing. Thank you very much. So at this point, the artist talk of the Prism of the Real. So from the curatorial lens, self and others, we would like to invite Fiona Tan. Let me quickly introduce Fiona Tan. Born in 1966 in Indonesia, she has Chinese Indonesian father and Scottish Australian mother, and was raised in Australia. And she moved to Netherlands in 1988, based in Amsterdam. She continues to do artworks in photography and footages based on memory and time and historical identity. Her works are based on very detailed research, and based on archived materials, she would try to identify cross sections of the photographies and new materials. She is currently presenting Fiona Tan Monomania at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. This is a museum's first exhibition curated by a contemporary artist, and it occupies the Phillips wing. The show brings together works from the Rijksmuseum collection and loans with Tan's own works. Tan has participated she has held solo exhibition at the 21st Century Museum Contemporary Art Kanazawa in 2013, Tokyo Photographic Art Museum, National Museum of Art Osaka in 2014-2015, and at the Izu Photo Museum in 2016. She is currently, we just started actually, a new exhibition called Works of Art. At Gallery Wako Works of Art, A Lost Time. So over to you.
Can I possibly explain why I love this photo so much? It is an opportunity begging to be remembered in total unself-consciousness. The little finger of her chubby left hand is slightly, unintentionally folded under.
この写真をなぜこんなにも愛しているのか説明できるだろうか。それはイメージとして記憶されることを懇願するもの。この温かくて柔らかな赤ちゃんは全く無意識。ふっくらとした左手の小指をわずかに曲げている。電池が完全に切れてしまって体を曲げてこっくりしている。
I often laugh unexpectedly.
私しばしば不意に笑い出してしまう。お互いに会ったこともないノルウェー人たちから集められたアルバムから写真を選びながら、これらのイメージは紙に定着しているが、それもほんの数世代の間だ。今、私たちはデジタルの台頭によって一つの入り口に立っている。子供の頃にあったような写真アルバムは急速に姿を消しつつある。別のものが取って代わってくれることを願うばかりだ。
So, I actually intended to introduce my talk and then show the video, but it doesn't matter. I will explain a little bit what you just saw. So this is a short video I made with some of the photographs from Vox Populi Norway, which is the first time that I decided to work amassing a collection of amateur photographs, which I sourced from private photos albums of families. And in 2004, I completed this work called Vox Populi Norway, and it is in setup. It is similar to the work here at the exhibition now downstairs, and originally this was the first time that I made a work like this, where it actually came out of a commission. So the Norwegian Parliament commissioned me to make a new work for their Parliament building, for one of their new buildings that they were adding on to the historical parliament. And in Norway, the democratic government system in Norway is that there is direct contact between the public and the politicians. So if you have a problem, or if you have something that you want to discuss, you can have direct democratic exchange. And in this room, where my work is hanging, this is the meeting room, where ordinary members from the public can meet the government. And in the rest of the parliament building, they have very official portraits from every single year, right from the beginning of Norway as a country. It's quite a young country. There are official portraits of all the parliament members from every single year, and everyone is posing. And so I thought, wow, what would an unofficial portrait of Norway look like? And that's how I came to think, well, maybe I can set up a project where I ask, let's say, 100 different Norwegian families from all across the country and of all different backgrounds, if they are willing to lend me their photo albums, and that I am allowed to select photos from their albums and collate this one work. So that's how it first happened. And then I since went on to do this 4 more times. So after Vox Populi Norway, I also made a work in Sydney, Vox Populi Sydney, Vox Populi Tokyo, Vox Populi Switzerland, and Vox Populi London. I do have some images. Let's see what... So this is the first time I presented Vox Populi Tokyo, actually in a museum in Germany, in Munich. This is the Pinakothek der Moderne. So I was showing 3 of the Vox Populis in this exhibition. So this is the first time the public gets to see it there. Just show you some of the photos from that exhibition. And every time I have worked on this project, it's quite a big preparation to find all the different people who are willing to lend me their photo albums. And I asked them to lend me at least 3 albums, but not more than 10, because some people wanted to give me boxes and boxes and boxes, and then it's just impossible to spend so much time looking and selecting. But from before I start, I always try to imagine what kind of images might I get. And with every place, I'm imagining something different. So with Norway, I was imagining, yes, I can imagine I would see many images from outdoor life. And with Japan and Tokyo, I was thinking, I expect that I will get some posed images, like the ones that you see here, where everyone is together, posing for the camera for group photographs. But I also hope that I get more private, intimate, home, family images, which are warm and steamy and smell of rice cooking, or but I wasn't sure what, but I was hoping that I would be able to find this contrast between the official outside presentation in public and the more private, more relaxed, more spontaneous kinds of images. And of course, I got a lot of these. But yes, I was really pleased to be able to share and to able to see this look into people's normal life at home, children, important ceremonies in traditional Japanese calendar, but also birthdays. And I guess you could think about this project like a mirror. So I think part of the reason why I find it interesting and other people like looking at it is you recognize these kinds of photographs. Let me see what. Thank you. So I also always photograph family members while they are sleeping. So I was very pleased to be able to find these kinds of images. But also images of going away, of loved ones coming back. So it's these kinds of images which I do find very valuable, and I'm very glad that I have been able to find them and put them together. The presentation on the wall, it's 305 individually framed photographs of about the same size as they were originally in the photo albums. I find the intimate size is quite important, that you can go up close and that it's not blown up to poster size. I tended to think of the way I organize the piece structured on the wall is like islands. So there are islands of meaning, islands of themes that I group together. And then a bit like a storyboard in a film, one narrative leads to the next, and one theme and one sort of group of images leads to the next. And this is the way that you can travel with your eye across the images. I also, for each of the Vox Populi projects, I also published a small book of the images. So this is the one of Tokyo. Let's see what I have here. These kinds of images, I'll just go through. Obviously, Fujisan. This was, I believe, actually in Hiroshima, the museum in Hiroshima, when I showed this piece previously. Of course, trains was also a theme that I found a lot in many photo albums and found, yes, important in part of everyone's everyday life. Yes, so I was briefly mentioning this book, and like I said, there are 5 of each of the different locations where I have made this project. So when I did Vox Populi London, I said that was in 2012. And I said, okay, that's it. This is the last time that I will do this. Also because I think it was really a very particular moment in time of photographic history. I don't think we make photo albums anymore. And I was thinking actually, just before coming to talk today, at my parents' house, there was one photo album which my father had made, and it was our family the first 5 years. One little photo album. And I don't think we would do that anymore either. And I actually think photo albums are quite as a child, I used to look through our family photo albums again and again. Actually, there are psychology, if you read Lacan, there are quite interesting theories about mirroring and about how you find your identity by looking at your family and at the life you're living in. And now, of course, we're in a different era because now everyone has a camera in their pocket and everyone is taking photos all the time. And then, of course, it's Instagram and all the social media. So, and it's a lot more of making these photos which you are then presenting immediately to a public and to the outside world whereas photo albums were more actually just for your small circle of intimate friends. And so that's a change. And also that they are printed on paper and analog in a book and not digital. That's also a big change. So that's the years that I made each of these series. And they're all approximately 300 images. I must say it's really very tiring work, actually, to be looking at thousands and thousands of images and making a selection of each one. So that was also for me another reason to say, okay, I will not continue doing this because it's just too heavy on your eyes, actually. And also, every time, it's a very interesting question of, so what makes a good photograph? And what photo will I select, which I think will communicate outside of this small, intimate setting that it was originally intended for, that will communicate just to an audience in a museum like here. So this was one photo exhibition that I had in Luxembourg, where I was able to show 3 in the same space. And actually for this talk today, I have, for the first time, just for a bit of fun, selected some images from all of the series, but I've mixed them all up. So we can have a game, and you can guess which country or which city they're coming from. So that was sort of what I was thinking about when I was preparing this talk. I think there are probably more similarities than differences across these albums and across these countries, these cultures. And like I say, it is the same period in history and the same moment of how we were, everyone was using photography and making photographs. So I find that actually really interesting. It's quite hard to really, in words, and it starts sounding like stereotypes or cliches, I think, if I would really try to name exactly what the differences are between the cultures. But I think you can, for yourselves, look and see if you can find certain things that surprise you or don't surprise you at all. So that one I remember, it's from Sydney. So I grew up in Australia. I moved to Europe when I was 17. So I expected in Sydney that I would find many images that reminded me of my own childhood. I did to an extent. I'm not going to say where they're from, and I don't always remember also. Also, I find it quite hard to describe in words what makes a good photograph. It's not necessarily perfection. It's a kind of a serendipitous, and obviously humor is important, good to have. Another one of my favorites is Children in the Bath. A lot of fathers with little children in the bath, which is great. I used to do that when I was a little girl. Obviously, there are some images which are quite particular for certain countries and certain locations. Christmas time in Australia. Christmas time in Norway. Again, Christmas time in Norway. This is England, actually. So obviously when you try to imagine what photos are in people's albums, you think, right, holidays, vacations, particular times of year. And yes, you get those, of course. So this is actually from Svalbard, which is the island up above the Arctic Circle. So it's part of Norway, but it's really quite far away. And as you can see, there's a lot of snow and ice. Sometimes the cliches that you think of different countries are quite true. Obviously, quite a lot of weddings. Cars is also quite a big theme. So I concentrated on color photographs, always analog photographs that had been printed and put into family photo albums. And that covers then a sort of a period of about 50 years. This for me is a really Australian image. That car is called a Holden, and that was an Australian brand of car that I don't think they have anymore. And yeah, I guess you couldn't really get that in anywhere except Australia. And then there are certain events, of course, which make world history, and this is actually from after Princess Diana died. So this was the flowers that were put in front of Buckingham Palace. And this is also more specific things. So an important festival in Switzerland, and it's very particular for the region, is Carnival, where they dress up in the most amazing costumes. But birthdays. And yeah, so thank you.
Fiona さん、ありがとう。
Thank you, Fiona. So Fiona-san just now took time to present one by one all these photos. And so I have one question about this series as a whole. So this work, so the second chapter, Self and Others, of the Prism of the Real, this is featured in that chapter. And so standing in front of this work and observing this work, and so you can experience many things just looking at this piece. So birth of person to entrance celebration to school and marriage, or the gathering of the relatives, or the milestone of everyday's life in different countries are captured. There are similarities, but also some slight differences across different countries. This Tokyo series of books popular. So if you see this installation, a group of photos on display, and you could see as the collective portrait or the collective memories. You can see in both ways. The pose struck by those people featured are similar, and structure of the photos are also similar. So without noticing it, there are some commonalities in terms of the pose taken by those people who are being photographed. So for this occasion, this pose is preferred. So maybe that kind of a stereotype of idea already exists inside of us. So this installation are displayed like a cloud spread on the wall. So these digital time ocean, that kind of feeling comes to you. So there's many ways to experience this work. So from 2007 to 2012, for about 7 years. So in 5 different countries, you made these books popular. So this series offers different experience to audience. While you're making this, what was the feeling you have, or the impression that you have, or what was on your mind when you're making this series? That's the first question I have for you.
Okay, so well, as I tried to explain, what was on my mind as I was making the series each time beforehand, I tried to locate a general question for myself of what might I find, what kind of images do I expect to find in the photo albums, and then the question of whether I am finding them or not. And that was different for every location. In terms of selecting the individual photographs, I really learned a lot by looking at all these images and selecting. The first time I did it, I was a bit concerned that I might get too much the same, that there would be too much repetition. So again a marriage, or again a birth, and that they would even be like interchangeable, and so not so interesting, just boring. But actually what I learned, and I was very pleased and thought it was good to be taught some lessons by the images, the photographs, was that every single person, they have an individual style as a photographer and an individual eye. And so they choose images and they choose subjects and they photograph in their own way. And so that actually made it interesting, but also quite tiring to be doing the work, because then I would start with a pile of, it takes weeks, right, to go through all the images. And I would start with a pile of a new person. I never met the people. I only met them through their photos. And I think this is actually quite important, that I just have the images through which I'm connecting with them. And looking through the photo album of this person, in the beginning it's sort of like, that's not so good, or that's not so interesting, or and then it's like, oh, but hang on, that one, oh, okay, that one there, that's interesting. And then so I sort of mark that image, so maybe I'm going to select this one. And then I start looking further, and and that's kind of like, and then I'm engaging with the person and with their work, their artistic work, their style, what they have given me to look at. And so by the time I'm down at the bottom, at the end of all their photo albums, and I've chosen, I usually try to select between like 15 and 30 images per person, so not to make it too big. Then I'm really like in tune with what it is they like, what they enjoy, what their life was like. And you can see also like sometimes the children are growing up and getting bigger and things change and, you know, sort of, and these things so I sort of like feel like I've been given this insight into someone's private life and their family or their home. And so I'm sort of really thankful and quite pleased, and I have these images that I've selected. So then when I have to move on to the next person, then I have to start all over again and completely like be blind, like really try and forget the person before, and then I have to again get to know this person and get to know how they work and what photos they take and what their eye is. And so I have to do that 100 times over a few weeks is like really, really quite tiring. And but I thought this was really important for me to take this humble position and just to try and really open my gaze to receive every single time from these people. So that was really interesting.
この
And so this artwork, until you arrive at this, completing this, so you engage with the photos and until the completion of the artwork. Thank you very much. The process that should take, well, time is running up. So with this, we would like to end this presentation. So the next presentation will be Season Men. So Ms. Fiona, thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。
フィオナさんありがとうございました。
Thank you, Ms. Fiona. So let us move on to the last section. So a promise of a community, curatorial lens. And so I would like to invite Season Men, Mr. Ozawa Tsuyoshi and Mr. Gimhongsok. So Mr. Ozawa is joining us from Nanjing, China. And the presentation will be made by first Mr. Ozawa until the process up until the formation of Season Men. And after that, Mr. Gimhongsok talk about their works apart from the Olympic. Welcome to Season Olympics, which is on display this time. So briefly explaining about the Season Men. And Ozawa Tsuyoshi is from Tokyo. And so Shin Shaoshun is from the China. And from the Seoul is Mr. Gimhongsok. And so project-based collaborative team of Japanese and Chinese and Korea. In 2005, Ozawa-san and Shin Shaoshun form a group. And so later, they invited their mutual friend, Gimhongsok, and established this group in 2007. And so this is a fictitious city, Xijing. So this is the Western capital. So that is the name given to this collaborative team. So this is the borderless perception is being captured. Installation, film, and videos. Their activities is quite wide-ranging. And at Kanazawa 21st Museum in 2017, and so Xijing is not Xijing, therefore Xijing is Xijing. They have the solo exhibitions. And in Korea, and they have a world of Xijing. And also in Kansas City and Art Institute, Kansas City, Missouri, USA, they have a solo exhibition titled I Love Xijing in Xijing School, HR Block Art Space at Kansas City Art. And so, Mr. Zawa, are you there? Already connected online? Hello? Hello? First, Ozawa-san, Mr. Ozawa. And so please say hello to everyone. Hello, this is Ozawa. I'm in Nanjing. Nanjing, far away from where you are. Xijing and Tokyo, where Gimhongsok is, and I'm in Nanjing. And a few years ago, and so another member, Chen Xiaoshun, who died from pancreatic cancer a few years ago, died in Beijing, but his soul is still there. And so north, south, east, west, capital are gathered. It's not interesting, I guess. So that's the start of my talk. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. No problem. And so, Gimhongsok-san, please introduce yourself. Please introduce yourself, please.
I'm one of them Xijing man and I come from Korea. My name is Gimhongsok. And of course, and I'm also the individual artist in Korea and somewhere. And then why I'm speaking now? His turn.
You are supposed to be greeting.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. じゃあ、お二人の挨拶が終わったので、
So now to say hello. So I'd like to invite Mr. Ozawa to talk about the process leading up to the formation of this season men. Yes. In 1990s, or before that, I have started working as an artist, of course, but quite often. And so there is the artist exhibitions participated by the Asian artist, or there are many international exhibitions being held, and I was able to participate in such exhibitions. And so there was quite a large number of such exhibitions in 1990s. And I was often invited to participate in such exhibitions. Those are very interesting and fun occasions to interact with the unknown artist, and were able to observe different artist works. But it's just showcasing art pieces. If you say it in a negative way, if you go deeper, I was hoping that those artists that I encounter on such occasions, I was hoping to have opportunity to work together and create something together. I was always thinking that as my wish. So, and Chen Xiaosheng, well, it was 1997, and I met him in the unknown art scene in China. Is something that I have gained to know through his works. 2001, under construction, at that exhibition, they have exhibition in various places in Japan and came to Tokyo. It was back in 2021. And so Gimhongsok and Zhou Shanshu were there, and I was there. So three of us were showcasing our works. In 2004, and so Biennale's emerging team, I believe. We were there participating as a solo artist, and we met there too. And there were a major milestone event in 2005. And Guangzhou Triennale in China, Ho Han Lu was a curator then. suggested that collaborative work, and they wanted to see some collaborative work to be showcased. And he approached me, and I was happy because I was waiting for that type of opportunity. And I was wondering how to approach. At the Mori Museum of Art, they just so happened that follow me, that there was the exhibition featuring China. So there were some artists I knew already, so I decided to approach them. And so I talked to Xiaoshan, and then he said yes immediately. So we decided to work together, just two of us, to create some art piece. Of course, I didn't have any particular idea as to what to create, but the important thing is to collaborate with him together. With him, well, we can be flexible in ideation. And I was desperately bad at English, but we managed to communicate. So we were very optimistic, and we started out our collaboration. And we are far apart. There are differences in culture, and there's borders dividing us. So of course there are challenges, but both of us were professionals. So we were able to move forward. So if I go through too much details, and I won't get to the part that we become seasoned men. So 2 years after that, well, during the 2 years time, we made 4 art pieces. The methodology-wise, we exchange information through post. There's once, and another time at venue, at the exhibition venue, we spare a short period of time to make this work. The picture that you see now on your screen is not just by us, but our spouses and family members, children were involved. So this was the opening party, and we have this noodles dish. And so the Beijing is difficult to secure bamboo, so we asked Shenzhen to send this bamboo as each one. So I remember that vividly. So we worked together for about 2 years. It was very interesting and fun. It wasn't a confrontation or the clash of individuals. Rather, it was a very simple conversation or exchange taking place and trying to feel what others are feeling. So, gut feelings, and also try to feel between the lines and try to understand what others are imagining. That's how we work. And so we were not particularly conscious about the level of completion. So collaborating together, working together was the most important factor, and believe in individuals' capabilities to build this installation and do our best was our mind. So we tried for 5 times to create artworks, but after a while, started to feel not refreshing anymore. But so 2007, there was the exhibition featuring Ralph at Mori Museum of Art. And right before that time, we were having conversation and a possibility of inviting one more member. So team of 3 sounds good. And so we decided on approaching Gimhongsok because we knew him. Both of us knew him. That's why we approached Gimhongsok. And so it was an immediate answer. I think he thought about it one day and then gave us the positive answer. And so that's when we started working as season men. So that is the secret behind how we started working together as season men. If you have any questions, please. And so Mr. Gimhongsok, so Mr. Ozawa talked about day before the forming of the season men. And so after becoming a season man, so that's the part I want you to elaborate on. And so I will give this clicker, so please start.
Mr. Ozawa gave me big surprise because he speaks the Japanese very fluently. Actually, when we talk each other, the speed of his English language is around, at the beginning, just 5 kilometers per hour, but now it's 40 kilometers per hour, a little bit, but still slow. But now he speaks very well. And then, yeah, it's unfamiliar for me. Yeah. Actually, now the photos looks just normal, but actually at the time, we couldn't communicate with each other perfectly because of the language problem. My English is a little bit better than them, but problem is Xiaoxiong's pronounce is very strange, and also his imagination is very exciting. And at the times, I had a girlfriend, and I brought my girlfriend to Beijing to do the Xijing Olympic. But he always forgot my girlfriend's name. And then one day he asked me, "Where is a long woman?" Long woman? That means my girlfriend is very tall. Where is her name is Juyong, but he forgot her name, and then where is long woman? But I never understand. I don't know what is wrong woman. What is that? So always our communication is always collapse, but we finally find how to communicate it. That is drawing, and also performance like that. And when I was really angry, of course, my voice make intentionally very big. Wah, 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 blah, blah, blah. And then, Hongsok's angry. Yeah? So, the background of the Xijing man is actually a little bit special because we were individually artists and we were invited many times from many museums and then Biennale or something like that. And we met many times. Ozawa, I met him in 1999 in Taipei Biennale. And then the Xiaoxiong, I met him in 2003 in Venice Biennale. They are very intellectual. And then we met again 2007 when we have the Mori Museum, when we invited in Mori Museum. The title was all about laughter, curated by the Mami Takaoka-san. And then during our installations, and then Mami Takaoka-san approached us, and then she just said, "Why don't you make any kind of the collaboration work?" Of course, they did understand. But in Japanese, Ozawa understand, Xiaoxing didn't understand, but I understand. And then, okay, it's a very good idea. And then, same day, we met in the restaurant, and then we just discussed about that. But they already organized in Canton, Tokyo, with Ozawa and Chen Xiaoxing. And of course, that is a city name. And then we just starting point is, okay, Hongsok, you come from Seoul. What is the meaning of Seoul? Seoul is meaning is capital. Oh, very stupid. And what is the Beijing? What is the meaning? North capital. Oh, very stupid. What is the meaning of the Tokyo? Oh, East capital. Oh, very stupid. Because every countries have a capital, but they have a different meaning. For example, Washington, D.C. So Washington is, of course, the name of the president in the United States. But I don't know why these three countries have the capital is no name, just North capital, South capital, or East capital like that. And then finally we left, and then, okay, where is the West capital? Of course, we didn't know that. And then I think, yeah, probably a long time ago, somewhere existed a West capital in Asia. But okay, it's done. We just decided our name of a collective team gonna be a West capital. But the pronounce in Chinese is Xijing, in Korean is Seogyeong, in Japanese is Saikyo. But we just think about which one is better. But Xijing is much more attractive, and then we decided, okay, Xijing. And then we started many projects, chapter 1 and chapter 4, chapter 5. But we just planned. We make 5 chapters. And then we finished our collective project. Yep. And we promised. But after chapter 4, we just want to continue more and more. But we didn't want to finish the chapter 5 because we really enjoyed our project. And then, for example, chapter 2 is 2 works. And then chapter 3 has 3 works. And the chapter 4 also 2 works. And then we just extending the many projects, included one chapter. And the problem is, we were invited in 2017. 2014 in Ebisu Festival Art and at Tokyo Metropolitan Museum of Photography. Yeah? And we made, look at the chapter 3, you can see the Xijing Winter Olympic. And then it was 2014, yeah, right. And we made, and at the time in the Ebisu Festival, it was snowed a lot. And then 3 years later, 2 years later, we were invited to the 21st Century Museum Kanazawa as the solo exhibition, Xijing Man's solo exhibition. But Chen Xiaoxing couldn't come there because after Ebisu Festival, he got a cancer. And we were very sad, and we visit regularly, 3 or 4 times to visit to Beijing. But in 2014, I have saw him that he stand beside me. And next year, and then he just lay down on his bed. And then 2016, when we have a solo show, we asked to Chen Xiaoxiang, could you please, we have to complete it all our, all our project. Chapter 5. Please give me the idea. And then we Ozawa and I, promised to realize the chapter 5. We need anyhow completed all chapters before he died. And then one or 2 months later, he sent the email, but the title is wrong. Xijing is not seizing, therefore Xijing is seizing. He gave us the title, very Buddhistic philosophic, the title. And then Ozawa and I discussed about that, how we realize this. And then of course I realized in Korea, he realized in Japan, and then finally we completed the chapter 5, and then we are exhibited at the 21st Century Museum. We were happy, and we sent the photos to Chen Xiaoxiang. And 2 months later, and he passed away. It was same year, 2016, and November, he passed away. And then we finished this project this April, but the exhibition continued until August. And that means, and then after the exhibitions, and 3 months later, he went to the sky over the, well, anyway. I'm sorry, it's a little bit sad, but anyway, because of the Chen Xiaoxiang, we can complete all project because he is a big brother. He is 3 years older than me, and then actually Ozawa is 1 year younger than me. And then he is really big brother, and he controlled everything. And he is he has a charismatic power. And then I really respect him because he has brilliant ideas. Ozawa also very brilliant ideas. And then he always organized which one is better or not. Yeah. Okay, I just showed some. Some photos. That is chapter 1. There is Hainan Island. Here's Yeongjong Island. Is Korea. Hainan Island is China. Oh, where is Okinawa? I'm sorry. There is. Okay. We just really try to find where is the really Xijing or the Seikyo in somewhere historically. And then we visit to each island, but that is unrealizable project actually. We know that the result because we don't know where it is. But I just went to the west side. That is Yeongjong Island, where the Incheon airport is. And I visited there, and then I made one interview, and then I made the video. And then Xiaoxiang also visited Hainan Island, and he made the videos. Ozawa, of course, visited Okinawa, and he made the videos. And then three what is that? 3 channels video work. Yeah. But that is actually fictional. But that is real documentary. we just interviewed with people. And everywhere, Beijing, and then the island, and then London, and then anywhere. But chapter 2 is this is Xijing. We just finally want to introduce what is Xijing is. And then we made just a fairy tale. And then we make a story. And then this is 4 travelers to Xijing. And then we make a puppet theater. We made a puppet theater. And then this is Korean version. And then here is a Liverpool version. There is my drawings and Ozawa's drawings and Xiaoxing's drawings, all mixed. This is Liverpool. And Liverpool. That means we always give the instructions. Sometimes we completed our project on that site, but sometimes we can, if we can go the site, and we give the instructions. And then this time, this when the high school students made the shadow theater. It was amazing, very, very beautiful. And this is Nagoya. And we were invited to Aichi Triennale, and then these Japanese groups interpreted this one. We just give the script, but Korean interpreted like this, but British people interpreted like this, and then Japanese interpreted like this. It's very, very abstract, but very beautiful. And then after the Chen Xiaoxiang is passed away, we made this. He's so sick, and we made this. Instead of the Xiaoxiang, we just contact with somebody, and then that is just the wizard of the Xijing. And we just exchange different, just a mask, sometimes a trouser exchange, and all mixed. You know that there is the story of a wizard of Oz, yeah? Yeah, right? Yeah. And then the wizard of Xijing. Finally, Xijing Olympic. Yeah, we really went to the Beijing. When the Beijing Olympics held at Beijing. And then we make, there is timetable. And then we make the kind of ceremony for opening. We made the flags. Also, we made the anthem. We made the Olympic song. So very, very big project. There is torch relay, but there's a smoking, so the cigarette, so. And then final, what is that? Final player is the Chen Xiaoxiang. And then there's a shooting. We just throw out just a tomato, small tomatoes. And there's football. We're just using just watermelon. There's weightlifting, and like this. That is shepherds, but we just throw out, what is that, to the outside. Yeah, but probably, well, we hoped nobody there. So anyway, yeah. And table tennis, 3 guys they play the tennis and the table tennis with our slippers. Cycling, the diving, we made the human figures. Made of the rice papers, and then we drop down the papers, and then someone is, but my piece is just not inside in the water. I think so. Oh, oh my God, many photos dropped. The volleyball is just we are using just the video camera, and then we just show that video, just video shot. It's just there are many blue colors. Actually, we didn't include this sport. That is just vacations, not our sports. Why these photos inside here? Okay, the boxing. We went to the massage club, and then with glove, and then we just gave the massage. But he pretended to be a very hard, but it's not. Fencing is the one stick. We put the brush, and then if somebody is smile or laugh, and that guy is lose the game. But I always lose because Xiaosheng's arms is very long, and then he always understand, touching my nose, and then hears, and then yeah. Basketball is just trash and trash can. Swimming, of course, how long time we endure the inside the water. Of course, the Ozawa is one. Mm-hmm. Triathlon is running there is who can endure that position so long time. Yeah. And then swimming, we just visited the market, and then we bought one fish, and then we just how can you say that? Make free to go to the sea. But problem is it was Beijing. The river is very dirty, and then finally the fish is dead. Marathon. How long we can sleep? Yeah, and then we slept so long time, so probably half days, and then anyway. Medal ceremony. The Xiaosheng's daughter gave us the medal. That is paprika, green paprika, yellow paprika, and red paprika. And that is the installation scene. Xijing school, we went to the very strange city, where is that? Kansas City, probably in Missouri. But anyway, and then we just met the real art university student. And then we just teach the language, but that is just drawing. Philosophy, just sleeping. And they slept so long time. Math is exchange the items. And the music, so we give our song. And then the next student imitated our song, and then there were a relay. And then the final student is that guy, and then our song was, duration of our song is around 3 minutes, but he sang a song just 10 seconds or like that, yeah. His story is drinking alcohol, and everybody, at that time I and everybody is really totally drunk. Sports is massage, and then finally the students massage the trees and walls and then everywhere. Science is it's a long history, but just okay. We just launched the rocket, but of course that's not rocket. But anyway, And there is important things that we always stopped the political system in the world. And then we want to be the president every day. Every day, one president, next day, the other president, third day, the other president, and then fourth day, I again, like that. And then there are 9 or probably six sections. And then my part is education of Xijing, and then constitution of Xijing is my part. Agriculture production of Xijing and national defense of Xijing is Ozawa made. And then Xiaoxiang, the finance economy of Xijing and the urban planning of Xijing was Xiaoxiang's part. Like that, in Xiaoxiang's drawing. We really researched our history and then where the Xijing was. And then really Vietnam also, Xijing, long time ago. Of course in China also, and Korea too. Ozawa's work, it's my work. Hospitality of Encouragement Act. Antagonism Control Act, and then Solitude Permission Act, I pieced. And then the Equality Encouragement Act did the same. Yeah. And the urban planning is wonderful, the Xiaoxiang's work. And then my work. Ozawa's work, then Xiaoxiang's work. Just we are using Xijing's paper. Money is just tissue, and we stamp. And then one Xijing is 147,000 US dollar. So unbelievable. Okay, this is our cash. That is okay. Okay, we made many things, and then so actually important thing is the communications with the 3 countries and the 3 guys, and also about the modernities over the interpretation of the contemporary art. And then, but we are Asian, but we are not. We think we are not Asian, but we are not Western, but. We just we wanted to be a very not make a utopian space, but we want to make this very strange space. That means in between is. So, for example, what is this? We cannot. What is that? We cannot define what it is, but that is our real purpose to present our work for all audience. Anyway, so there are we made many things, and then finally we also completed chapter 5. And then it was that is very I am proud of that. Our achievement is, I'm really proud of our achievement. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
大沢さんありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. Can we get a show of Mr. Ozawa-san's face? So, Xijing Men is a project that is intimate, but it shares a very complex history of the 3 countries. It's not necessarily utopia, but it's in between. It's maybe a virtual space, and that's the context. And then you have made different works that is quite humorous, like including like Xijing Olympics. Mr. Honsuk, you have mentioned about what it was like from your perspective. So, Mr. Ozawa, can I ask from you? This is the probably one and only artist collective of the three countries, very unique. Without the Xijing Men, Chapter 3 would not have been established. So it's an important, thing for you. So, Mr. Ozawa, in your entire career, what does this project have the meaning? What's the significance? So I will be asking, that's the same question that I asked Mr. Honsok. Please share the significance of this project. Yes, so Xijing Men. So Shaoshang's body is not here, but the project itself, even though we have not produced any new works recently, I don't think it has ended. We don't have any plans to resume at any time, but I do not think that it has ended. We are representing a very complex modern history, but we don't want to be just hung up with that. But the way we face them as individuals have been very successful, I believe. And I think our works will continue to speak the narratives. I'm not sure if I'm able to explain this well, but I hope that sort of answers your question. Yes. So, Mr. Honsok, Kim, can I ask you to comment? So you have Xijing Olympics in this Prism exhibition. So how has this collective impacted your individual career as an artist?
I really separated with the Xijing's project and my own work, but there is really good chance that I just experiment what I experiment, and then I can realize in the Xijing project. And then, but I don't want it. I don't want to put my idea, my own the concepts or the artistic concept to the Xijing project. And then I really want to be independent as a Xijing man. And then I never involved my own idea or own my work into the Xijing project here. And then, but the Xijing project is actually so makes me, it's a chance to make a prank, to realize the prank, because I love the prank in somehow. But so in my work, I cannot do this. But three guys, and we always make a prank like that. Pranks, do you understand? It kind of, yeah. And then that always gave us the very funny and very interesting memories. Yeah. Anyway, there is. I just divided that. Yep.
わかりました。
Understood. We're about 5 or 10 minutes behind the schedule, so I want to make this the last question and then would like to end today's artist talk. So, Mr. Gimhongsok has introduced different competitions. And those of you who have participated in these artistic kits, you're able to re-enter the exhibitions. I hope you will go back downstairs and actually look at the Olympics, Xijing Men Olympics. So I guess this is the end of the program. So thank you very much, Ozawa-san and Honsok-san. Thank you very much for your participation. So I want to once again thank both of you. And we have completed all the program today. I want to thank the 5 artists who have spoken at today's artist talk. Please give them a big round of applause again. Kazama-san, thank you as well. The simultaneous interpretation was done by Satoshio and Matsuura Yoshiko. Thank you very much. And interpreters, thank you too. Thank you.